As Canada approaches its 2025 federal election, the unexpected variable shaping the political climate isn't internal, it's external. And not just any external force, but Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States. His public comments, economic policies, and sheer influence have had a profound, though indirect, impact on the Canadian electoral landscape, raising a provocative question. Has Trump effectively chosen Canada's next Prime Minister? Now, let's be clear. Trump hasn't endorsed anyone. He hasn't campaigned in Canada. But his actions, statements, and timing have reshaped how Canadians think about leadership, international diplomacy, and economic security. That alone might be enough to tilt this election. Canada's federal election is scheduled for April 28, 2025, following a surprise move by Liberal leader Mark Carney to call a snap election just over a month after being sworn in as Prime Minister on March 14th, succeeding Justin Trudeau. His main challenger is Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party since 2022 and a long-standing figure in Canadian politics known for his aggressive debating style. Initially, the campaign focused on domestic issues like cost of living and affordability, but that changed fast. In January 2025, Trump gave a radio interview where he suggested he'd be happy to work with a Conservative government in Canada. But within weeks, things flipped.
The Conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a Liberal.
Conservative leader Poilievre immediately tried to flip the script. He told voters, in essence, if Trump wants Carney, maybe that's a reason to vote for me.
The president says that he doesn't like me. He doesn't think that I'm a MAGA guy. I am not. It is true that I am Canada first. I am only for Canada. I'm fighting for the interests of this people and this country.
I will put Canada first, he stated, but for undecided voters, particularly centrists, the moment landed. Trump's unpredictability became a real-world stress test for each candidate's leadership credentials. So, has Trump decided Canada's next Prime Minister? No, not directly. But his actions have shaped the playing field. His tariffs have turned Canada-US relations into one of the top election issues. His insults and preferences have given Canadians a new lens through which to evaluate their leaders. And his economic pressure has raised the stakes dramatically. Polls suggest this is working against Poilievre. Some voters are shifting toward Carney, seeing him as the steady, internationalist figure who can negotiate with Trump from a position of professionalism, not partisanship. Let's look ahead to what happens if Carney wins. In the best-case scenario, Carney uses his credibility and economic fluency to negotiate directly with Washington. He frames the conversation in terms of shared interests, economic stability, and rational trade. Trump, ever transactional, may agree to suspend or reduce tariffs in exchange for symbolic wins, perhaps increased defense spending, cooperation on Arctic policy, or limited immigration adjustments. With tensions cooled, Canadian markets regain investor confidence. The loonie stabilizes, inflation slows, foreign capital flows back into Toronto and Vancouver. Canada breathes. But in the worst-case scenario, Carney's professional calm is perceived by Trump not as strength, but as softness. Trump escalates, demanding aggressive concessions, revised trade agreements, environmental deregulation, even changes to military posture. Carney resists, but without deep political experience or populist backing, he struggles to rally public opinion. Trump tightens the screws, tariffs increase. He targets specific sectors, lumber, agriculture, auto manufacturing. Canadian costs skyrocket, interest rates rise to control inflation, construction halts, home prices freeze, unemployment creeps upward, the Bank of Canada is cornered, foreign investors begin pulling out, the economy teeters. By the time Carney regains footing, the damage is already done. Now imagine Poilievre wins. In the best-case scenario, Trump, despite his earlier dismissive comments, recognizes Poilievre as a useful ideological partner. The two may not like each other personally, but they share a deep alignment on economic priorities: low taxes, deregulation, energy independence, border control. Trump, always transactional, realizes that having a conservative in Ottawa could help reinforce his narrative of a Western conservative revival. Quietly, Trump's administration begins softening its stance. The 25% tariff remains, for now, but discussions open immediately behind closed doors. Both leaders, recognizing the mutual benefit of de-escalation, frame the tariff war as the product of Trudeau-era weakness that they now have an opportunity to undo. Poilievre capitalizes on this. He visits Washington in his first 90 days, not as a junior partner begging for mercy, but as a strong sovereign leader laying out a path to mutual gain. He brings a bold trade strategy, accelerated North American energy infrastructure, streamlined cross-border tech cooperation, and a joint commission on industrial supply chains. His pitch is simple. Let's make the continent stronger than China. Trump, eager for wins and headlines, agrees in principle. He touts Poilievre as a fighter and someone who listens, walking back his previous attacks. Tariffs are not eliminated overnight, but they're frozen. A roadmap is set. Canada is given carve-outs in key sectors: autos, fertilizers, and meat. In exchange, Poilievre agrees to cooperate on joint border enforcement, military procurement alignment. Markets respond favorably. The Canadian dollar stabilizes. US firms resume importing Canadian lumber and steel, especially for construction in the Midwest. Alberta Oil gets a new US export corridor fast-tracked, creating a small boom in Western Canada. Mortgage rates plateau, giving relief to over-leveraged homeowners. Foreign investors see stability and return with caution. Politically, Poilievre comes out of it looking stronger. He frames the recovery as proof that only a conservative government could have restored dignity in the US relationship. His populist base is satisfied because he stood firm. But in the worst-case scenario, Poilievre's assertiveness is seen by Trump not as strength, but as provocation. Trump, still bitter over past criticisms, retaliates. Tariffs are not only maintained, they're expanded. Lumber, beef, auto parts, and oil face new restrictions. Poilievre holds firm, refusing to back down, but the conflict spirals. Washington freezes communication. Border bottlenecks worsen. US firms pull contracts. Inflation spikes. Interest rates climb. Mortgage payments rise. Investment stalls. Ontario's manufacturing sector bleeds jobs. Alberta's oil slows. Quebec's exports collapse. The Canadian dollar drops. Investor confidence is shattered. And the country is more isolated than ever. That's what makes this election unique. Trump didn't endorse a candidate. He didn't run a campaign. He didn't interfere in the traditional covert way. But he inserted himself into the Canadian conversation with such force, such bluntness, and such timing that the effect was the same. He changed what voters are thinking about. He changed what candidates are talking about. He didn't decide the vote, but he may have decided the terms of engagement.